Hello and welcome back. Welcome to part 2 of our USS Reuben James build, 1350 Scale by Academy. So if you haven't watched the last video, please do, and also check the playlist this video's in because you can watch the unboxing as well. Okay, and also if you haven't already, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and comments are welcome. So let's see where we left off, was working on the superstructure that's going to go down on the deck here. And what I've done is I've put these platforms in here. They've been glued on, including the poles there, the supports. So they're all in place, which is good, including the little one there. Now there's lots of railing to go on these yet too, so we've got quite a bit of stuff to do there. Very small pieces, a little piece going in there as well. I don't know if I showed it before, but I put these parts on the side as well. And right now, I'm working on all these vents sitting on top of the deck here. So there's about 4 or 5 of them going on, plus a few more. So here we are here looking at step 4. We've got all these vents here. I've got about another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so to go. And they'll go on the top of the deck there. And there was also that pipe running down between those two decks, so we've put that on in there. And the doors, I've decided to have the doors closed for the hangar bays under there for the helicopter, so they're in there and they're glued in, so they're going to be closed. And I think that's about where we're at now. Overnight the hull is all dried and it's all ready to go, so plenty of glue is being put down in the center of that. That's all come up really nice. I will be sanding that little bit across here, just a little bit, just to get that, where there's that edge there where it joins. But otherwise, it's perfect. Even around the front there doesn't need really touching at all around on the bow. What I'll be doing, and I think I showed that before, I've put the rudder on there and I've made it so that it can turn. I've got to just make sure it can turn because glue might not have. Yeah, I'll fix that anyway, but I've got that little piece sitting down there where the pin was so that this can still turn. There we go, it's moving there now. So anyway, it's probably going to be displayed in one position anyway, so it shouldn't matter. Obviously, I've left the screw off, because that needs to be painted separately to everything else. We've still got these to put on here and the back to do after I've sanded this little piece out that I explained in the last video. All right, so that's coming up. That's what I'm going to do in this video. But I'm going to finish off doing all these parts now, and then we'll come back and have a look at it, and then we'll go back and start working on that hull, because I want to get that rear transom deck on the back, which is this little part that was added. I think it might have been added on some of these ships. That's going to go in there and that's going to sit on the back. It's like a bit of an extension, which is why there were 2 of these landing decks in the kit, and the other one we don't use because this is the new one. This is the one for this, and that's going to go pretty much we'll work on that when we get to it. All right, guys, hang in there for a sec. I'll be back. Oh, one other thing I just wanted to show you is I use this Icky Sticky. It's like a foam, but it's sandpaper. This is 600, and there's all different grits. It's really good stuff. You just cut off a piece you need, and all you do is, and you can use that for sanding. It's really good for if I want to do, for instance, along the hull here, which is where I'm going to sand and use it on that. But otherwise, during all of what I've done here, all the little nubs and parts from the sprue left on the parts, I've just been using the nano file, and it's done the job perfectly. In fact, I haven't even once touched one of these yet in the build. Been no need to, because I've got a good pair of nippers that cut right up close. And then, of course, these sanding sticks do a great job. They're a great job. All right. They leave it looking like there was never anything there. It's just the plain plastic was there. There's no sign of anything. Really good. All right, enough talk. Be back in a second. Okay, welcome back again. And I've done all those little vents and everything on the top of that superstructure. And now we're going to start on this. So I brought the camera down close so you can see exactly what I've got to do. Is pretty much I've got to cut this lip off along here. Okay, so that's got to cut down there, and then I'm going to sand that down so that it's flush with there. Okay, mainly because this deck will go across that and onto the other part, which will be here, where the current bit where the deck sits in runs also around that part as well, you see, and that's going to sit in there. Okay, so when they added this part to the ship in the model, they thought, oh, we'll just put a longer piece of this in and connect, but they didn't think about that needs to cut off. Okay, you see what I mean? Because otherwise it's going to sit up, it's not going to sit down flush. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to cut there. And what I'm thinking of doing is just using my nippers, just cut down like this, down the edges, and then I'll come across this way and cut it out, and then I'll just sand it off smooth. As long as I've got this part nice and flat, it'll be fine, because like I say, it's all going to be covered by the deck and this whole stern section here, which is going to sit there, and then that's all covered as well, because there's another little piece here that's going to sit in there. You see what I mean? Okay, you sort of get it. Yes. Okay, good. All right, so I'll make a start on that, and we'll come back when I'm a bit of the way through. Okay, back again in a minute. Okay, welcome back again. So I've cut some of that off at the back there, just using the normal nippers here. And now I've just I've got my Icky Sticky diamond files here, and I'm just going to sand it down so it's nice and flat, and it's level with the line where the rest of the deck has to sit on there. Okay. That's why I take long with these. Yeah, and I can just keep test fitting this and making sure it's sitting in there. It's almost there as it is. Yep, it's going to be much better. Well, it's going to work anyway. All right, so I'll keep going. I'll be back again in a minute. Okay, so that worked out beautiful. That come up just right. So now this will sit in there up to where the little marks are on there, and look at that. It sits flush. It's not raised up, and it's going to be perfect on the back there. Okay, there we go. Problem solved. So now what I'm going to do is get our transom, it's called this, and I'm going to glue that in place on the back there, and then we should be able to put everything to have this glue in as well, and the deck should sit up flush against that. Fingers crossed. Yeah. All right, so I'll get that glued on, which is going to be a little bit tricky, but we'll see. We'll see. I think it'll be fine. Yeah. Okay, back again in a minute. Okay, back again, and I've got to be saying I'm pretty happy with the way that's turned out. So we've glued that rear section on the stern there. I've put in that transom deck, which is added on there. And then with this, which will be the landing deck for the helicopter, perfectly on top. Okay, look at that. Fantastic. I've got one of my subscribers and very good friends, Simon, known as Hibbo, who actually served on this ship, And big thanks to him for sending me a photograph that showed me what it looked like, and we discussed it and figured out that they've added this to the ship at some point. But yeah, that pretty much looks like it does in the photograph, so we should be happy, and I'm happy. So there we go, we got that on. So let me get tidied up here, and we'll back in a second. We'll continue on with some more. Now, with all that dry, what I'm going to do now is we're going to put this main deck down. I'm pretty confident I can put that down now. This is going to fit in there just perfectly, no problem. So the idea is I'm going to put one clamp that way, like from the holding the deck down, sort of like that, okay? And then I'm going to, there's a couple of points there where just there, it's just a little bit of gap, just needs a bit of pressure on there. So I'm going to put one clamp there and probably one down here too. Although it doesn't really need it. I'm thinking maybe I need just two down on it like that, and just that one holding it in just where that is there. Okay, and we should be right. And then of course this, well, it's got that little lip on it, so it just slips in under there and pops down, so no problem at all with that. We'll do that after. All right. So oh, and the glue I will use, I'm sticking to the faithful contactor, doing me good, so we'll stick with that. We'll do a light bead of it all the way around, and I'll pop it down. I'll come back when it's all clamped up and show you how it looks. Well, there we are, it's all clamped up. I only needed to use 2 clamps. Yeah, it sat there really well, no problem. This glue is fantastic. It becomes tacky, so it takes just a few seconds to hold it there and it sticks. And it looks perfect. So I'm just going to leave that for the next hour. I'm going to go have some lunch now, come back, and then we can put this one on, and that finishes the deck. So yippee, we can cross a few more parts off the instructions as completed. All right, I'll be back after I've done that. Hang in there, guys. I'm back shortly. Okay, a bit more progress as we go. I put a couple little pieces on the back of there, and this piece here, I'm not too sure what it is, but be careful when you put that on. It needs a bit of trimming up. Really carefully just trimming it up, because when you look at where it's sitting, it's actually right where this decal is going to go around it, and it's a little bit too big for the location, and I didn't want to have any problems putting the decal down, so I have just trimmed really, I'm talking like 1/4 millimeter off, just so it would sit in there and not come in contact with the decal, and at the same time allow me to put railing along the back there, because we're going to have railing along there too, so it needs to fit in there. And again, there was a photograph of it with the, well, you couldn't really see it too well, but there was a shot with showing the railing much. But see, I know it's in there. I know this whole piece of railing's got to fit and not come in contact, so that's done. So that's good. So now we can have a look at the instructions and where we're at. So step 1 is done, pretty much. Well, it's done, so we can cross that off. Okay. Step 2 is now complete with the rear transom attached to it, so we can cross that off, including a little extra piece I was just talking about. So that's all on. Over the page, we've done this. Now I've left a note here. I won't cross number 3 because the screw here has to be painted gold, so just we know to go back and do that. This part here, this is all step 4 is all done. Again, there's 3 little pieces in there that need to be done flat white, which will be just hand brushed right at the very end. So I'll just leave that note like it is. I won't cross off the 4. Unless they're completely done, I won't cross them off. Going on to what's after 4, step 5. Did I? No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Yeah, I know, that's okay. I'm looking at all the stuff on the top. All that was put together, so we've done all that. That's all together. Here it is here. You've seen that, so that's all ready to go, and as far as I can tell, that's ready to go on here. So that's step 5. So we'll go over to step 5. Paper here. Okay, so we've got the main superstructure to go down on the deck. We've got a few parts in the front, which looks like part of the, actually that's a missile launcher on the front there. So we'll put that together. Then we've got other areas up in the front, a few little pieces to go on there, and these two go on either side of the hull. So what I've done is I've started taking some of these pieces and cleaning them up. And we've got a few of them here, and there's the platform for that missile launcher. I've got the missile for it there, which is going to be painted separately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that along with the screw in a separate little container somewhere, and put aside with all my little parts that needs painting separately. It's just so that they're all in one place. So I'll take care of that. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I'll get this together, and we'll get these parts off for the front, and we'll get these off as well, and get those on before I put this down. There's no hurry to do that, so we might just hold off on that because there's a lot of photo etch, railing and so forth to go on this, and it's going to be a lot easier to put it on when it's not on the deck, I think. Yeah, but we will do a test fit. We'll do a test fit. Okay, I'll be back in a second. Okay, a bit more good news. I just test fitted this whole superstructure, and it fits beautifully on the deck. Not a problem. Everything's lined up, everything's flush, everything's flat, and it's looking good. So there we go. Good. The only thing I'm just going to have to do is just carefully with tweezers, just line up those posts with the holes in the deck under those there. But that should not be a problem. They're fine. All right, excellent. Well, like I said, I'm not going to glue that down because there's a lot of railings and so forth. So yeah, it's always good to know when things just sit there like that, and that's the way you want. There's no warping or anything like that. So there we go. Take that off, and I'll get back on to getting this done and the other bits on the foredeck, and once again, back shortly. Okay, welcome back. So, show you a bit of an update here. What I've done is I've put on these the M232 torpedo tubes. So they're on either side. They're glued in. And I've also put the few little pieces up on the front here. So that's done. And then we've got here the SM1 launcher, which will go and get mounted on there like that. Probably better in that direction, but yeah, that's going to sit up on there. Now what I'm looking at next was, I don't know if you remember, I said I was going to leave this off to do all the photo etch railings and everything on there separately, just make it easier to handle. But it turns out that would not be making it easier, because this really needs to be on the deck, because the railings that need to go on the deck are going to butt up against this in some areas, particularly around these little extended bits where there's a boat and where one of these torpedo tubes sit underneath. So if I just put that there like that, you'll see that they're sitting underneath that platform there. So I've got it. So, you know, it's going to be easier to work on this and do all the railings at once. There is a lot of stuff to go on the top of that later. But so the idea is to glue that down on here. But before I do that, I need to do a bit of sanding on the bottom here. And I've started here. I'm using one of these sanding pads here. This is a Icky Sticky one. I've got 1000 and 3000 grit, and there's a few others, half a dozen different ones. So I'm just going to go along on here and just get that line off and get that nice and cleaned up, and then I'll be able to put that on there. The other reason for gluing that on there now too is that once it's got everything on there, it's going to be very difficult to handle this without knocking anything. And I'm going to have to hold it down while it glues. Whereas now, I can clamp this on without any problems and it'll be fine. What I do need to do, and I've just thought of it right now, was try and find something that'll keep this stable. Then, of course, we've got the stand to build. So maybe the stand in here will be suitable for that. Maybe it won't be too. We'll see. Otherwise, yeah, I'll figure out something I can cut a little trench in and be able to sit this in and work on it a little bit easier. Okay, what I used to do, if I just remember now when I was doing my last ship, was I used to get these toothpicks and I would stick them in the foam like that. See, put one like that, and then I'd stick one in this side, and there we go, there's your support. I could move them wherever I wanted so they wouldn't interfere with what I was working on and parts I'm trying to get to. There you go, a little hint there, a little tip there. And these, by the way, these foam pieces here, these are just end pieces out of the box that my actual 1/200 scale Yamato came in. But anything like this you can use to make a really good little base for working on. As you can see, I've been using this for quite a while. So anyway, I will sand at the bottom of this and we'll get this on, okay? And start gluing that down. All right, I'll be back in a second. And one more thing I just wanted to show you is the stand. I almost forgot we've got to drill holes in the bottom here. Okay, which was fine. I was worried because I thought, oh no, I've glued the deck down, but you can go through that way, no problem. I used the tungsten micro drill bit set there, and it's a 3mm. 3mm fit perfectly, and that gives it a nice firm fit in there like that. There we go. So that's the stand, okay, which will not be good enough for just to hold it while I'm working on it. It's just not going to be, it's going to be a bit flimsy. But yeah, I just thought about that. So there we go, they're done. So the hole's drilled, don't forget that. It's right at the, well, it's right towards the end of the instructions. That's why I didn't see it. Okay, and right now I've sanded that as much as I need to, and I'll just give it a bit of a wipe and a clean up. And I'm going to get that this whole superstructure glued on the right way. That was the right way. Yeah, glued on top. Okay, so I will do that and be back shortly. And one more thing, the nameplate, it actually has the name on it. So that's going to look really nice. It's all raised. So we'll be able to get that detailed up and painted. I'm not sure what color we'll do that yet, but yeah, it's nice to see. Sometimes these kits, maybe not this brand, they just give you the plate with nothing written on it, and yeah, a bit crazy. But that one actually looks quite nice. So, okay, back to work. Okay, so there we go, all done. And what I ended up doing was I clamped some of the Icky Sticky sandpaper sponge. I just cut a couple of pieces off and used them as to hold, so it's not going to slip on this plastic like these clamps do, and it's being held in place beautifully. And the whole superstructure sits down perfectly well, exactly in the right position. There's no gaps underneath anywhere, all the way around, perfect. And I just ran the contactor all along the edge and sat it on there. So that's great. I'm going to leave that for a couple of hours now to dry. So I want to make sure that's all good. And then I'm going to start having a bit of a study up on the photo etch, which is quite a lot here, and work out probably where to start would be the first thing. Yeah, I'm just thinking around the deck might be a good idea before we go up on the top. So I might try doing it around the deck, and we'll see. Now, if you've got any questions about the painting, this whole thing is going to be painted in undercoat first. Lorby grey undercoated. The whole ship is basically the one colour. There may be, I did see it mentioned 2 shades or a couple of shades of grey. We'll see how we go when we get to that. But the only part when it comes to masking up that I can really see that's going to need to be done, it will be the hull for the hull red. Other than that, pretty much everything can go on. And there's a few little parts that I'm making note of throughout the instructions here of things that are going to be flat white, gold for the screw, and you know, that little launcher on the front there that came with a missile as well, which I've put in a separate little container here because that's got to be done white, flat white. So and of course there's decals to go on here as well, including, as I noticed, there's a couple of little stripes that go on either side of this as well. So that may be something which might mean I won't be gluing that down on the top of that deck there. Be careful. It's quite firm the way that's held there, so that's okay. So that I may just sit there and not glue it in, and at least until after I've got the decal on there. Okay. All right. Well, that's it for this video. This is the end of part 2. In part 3, we'll come back and make a good start on all these photo etch railings. So looking forward to doing that. I hope you can join me. And please don't forget, if you've got any comments or any questions, let me know in the chat, in the comment section below. And also, if you're interested in Icky Sticky products, that's in the description. And please subscribe. It's free to subscribe. You can become a member if you want. And don't forget, I also do live streams every weekend, and also we have a Facebook hangout group. So much, isn't there? So much. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you all in the next video, which will be part 3. Bye for now. Cheers.